but I'd first like to briefly share what the committee has been up to and what's ahead. Over the last 2 years, with the help and support of committee members, we have made a lot of progress. We ended some lingering unfair practices in apartment application fees. We updated local voucher eligibility rules to reduce barriers for people exiting homelessness. We supported public housing residents and people with housing vouchers through major reform of the Housing Authority. There's still plenty of work to do, but we are straightening that ship. We banned widespread harmful practices that posed real housing barriers for people with pets and caused unnecessary suffering. We used both legislation and oversight tools to fight for first-time homebuyers when they ran into major problems with the district's home purchase programs. And we still have more work to do there as people stop me in public at least once a week with concerns about HPAP. We rose to the challenge of unprecedented inflation that undermined the rent stabilization program and led the council in striking an emergency compromise. We cleaned up some long festering issues in the law with rent control, rental housing, voluntary agreements, and even remote meetings for condos. And we passed a path-breaking mentorship program that will meet young people where they are and call on city employees to help give young people the support and guidance they are looking for. Now we have to get the program funded and running. When I say we, I don't just mean us council members and our staff. I mean everyone who comes to the Wilson Building and shares their ideas. I mean people who don't come to the Wilson Building, but who let themselves be vulnerable and honest about their dreams for the city when government representatives do what we're supposed to do and spend time in their communities. I mean brilliant subject matter experts and hardworking administrators in our executive branch agencies. I mean people who think of themselves as progressive activists and people who think of themselves as business leaders. And as I said at our swearing in earlier this month, I want to find common ground with anybody who's committed to the business of progress. That is what we are called to do in this moment. We have momentum. We're going to stick to the methods that have served us best over the past 2 years. We'll keep taking the work of this committee right to the places where housing problems are happening all across the district. We're going to keep inviting uncommon collaboration. And we're going to keep pushing our agency partners to focus on accountability, using clear goals that accelerate the district's most pressing housing priorities and measuring progress so that we know whether we're moving in the right direction. We are in a housing crisis in DC, and we need an all-hands-on-deck approach to address it head-on. The CFO's office testified at our roundtable late last year that new multifamily housing permits have stopped cold. Meanwhile, nonprofit landlords that I trust tell me that they are really hurting. We've also seen serious housing condition failures in some for-profit buildings. I've been hard at work pulling in people with a variety of expertise: landlords, tenant association leaders, attorneys, developers, and scholars to find workable interventions. In the coming weeks, I invite colleagues to help us as we work to boost affordable housing production and preservation. And last night, I sat at the youth town hall and listened to young person after young person speak about how the stress of housing instability is impacting them personally and their families. These are kids, and all of us adults know that stress as well. We also need to keep working on voucher and public housing problems and the long, painstaking work of helping the Housing Authority focus its efforts on the most critical improvements. We'll need to take up legislation to phase in a new board structure soon, since the Stabilization and Reform Board has completed their initial 2-year term. Councilmember Fruman, I see a lot of opportunities to keep partnering now that human services are in your committee's jurisdiction. We have draft legislation to secure additional assistance for the financially injured residents struggling through the Talbot Street crisis, who went from first-time homebuyers to distressed renters when their new condos became uninhabitable through no fault of their own. Several members have already said they want to help support these residents, and I'm excited to take members up on that. We're going to introduce legislation that would help take downtown revitalization to the next level with a focused economic development corporation, a clear plan, timeline, and metrics. And we want to do more to ensure that real estate transactions are free from bias that prevents minority sellers from realizing the true market value of their homes. Council members McDuffie and Parker, who are leaving the Committee on Housing this year, have my thanks. Council members Pinto and Fruman, you've been thoughtful partners on this committee for the past 2 years, and I am excited to continue working together. And Council member Bonds and Nadeau, welcome to the team. Of course, Council member Bonds is no stranger to housing issues and has been an incredible brainstorming partner for me.